Welcome to your at-home core workout. Please be careful if you have any injuries, take it easy and take note. We're going to start with some long lever crunches. So extending the legs out, arms overhead, one hand on top of the other. You're going to keep your lower back nice and flat into the ground, and keeping the arms in line with the ears, you're going to lift the feet and hands off the floor, as well as the shoulders. If you're feeling super strong, you can lift both legs at the same time, but feel free to do one leg at a time, and if you absolutely have to, you can bend the knees as well. We'll make it a lot easier. Make sure the arms are not reaching forwards of the face. It's not a forwards reach like a jackknife. You want to keep the arms as long as possible. Then we're going to move on to our side plank with the bottom leg raise, making sure the hand is directly underneath the shoulder. If it's too far away from the body, you're going to take big strain in that supporting shoulder. And then we're placing the weight into the top foot so we can lift the bottom knee up, reaching with the opposite elbow to touch the knee to the elbow for a diagonal crunch. You can touch the foot down at the ground at the back between each rep, but if you want to make it extra challenging, keep that foot off the floor. Don't forget you have two sides. So we're going to rock on over to the other side. Same setup, making sure the hand is the right position underneath the shoulder. Making sure your bum is not sticking out either, so you don't want to be piking at the hips. Try and keep everything in a nice straight line. So foot, hip and shoulder all in a nice straight line, extending into a straight body, imagining you're between two panes of glass as you reset between each knee lift. If you need to make this exercise a little bit easier, feel free to stay on that top leg and just work on lifting the bottom leg, and if it won't lift, it's totally fine. Just stay in that side plank and build up that oblique strength, the shoulder strength. No pressure. For your leg raises, there's a couple ways you can do this. Ideally, legs straight up in the sky, knees totally straight, but if you need to bend the knees to take some of the strain off the lower back, feel free to do so. Hands can either be next to the bum or stretched out in line with the shoulders, or you can even reach them overhead. But the goal here with this exercise is to keep the lower back flat on the floor. So as the legs reach down, you're not allowing that lower back to lift off the ground. If you do find that you're pulling or pinching in the lower back, rather bend the knees and also focus on only going as low to the ground with those legs as much as it's not hurting the back. Because if you're losing that core activation and it's starting to pull on the back, you're not really getting the full benefit in the core anyway. So rather take it back a notch, work where you're safe, and don't hurt yourself. For your Russian twist, you're going to lean back roughly 45 degrees with that spine and then rotate through the core. Only everything from the hips up are going to be moving, so particularly focusing on wringing out that waist, twisting the rib cage as you tap the hands side to side. As much as possible, try not to let the knees or feet move. The feet can be flat or the toes can be raised, or you can even lift the feet off the ground, but really trying to make sure that the pelvis is nice and secure into the ground and you're using those abdominals, the obliques, to keep you twisting. For your toe touch crunches, ideally you want your legs as straight as possible, but again, if the back is taking strain, feel free to bend the knees. Rather focus on getting the ab strength out of this workout. It's not important to hurt yourself in order to get stronger. So legs straight up in the sky, lifting head and shoulders off the floor, reaching the hands up towards the toes. If you can touch the toes, even better. But again, no pressure or expectations. It's just about that crunch into that abdominal region. And try as much as possible not to let the legs move around. You want the legs to be up and steady in the sky as you reach through the upper core with the arms and shoulders. For your one-arm plank, you're going to pop one hand directly underneath the shoulder. Core is nice and strong. The wider you place your feet, the more easy it is to balance. So you don't have to work so hard through the core. But if you're feeling up for a challenge, place your feet a little bit closer together. Make sure that both hip bones are pointing towards the floor and the back is nice and straight. So not only are you challenging that diagonal core strength with this exercise, but you're also strengthening the shoulder. So that one arm that's pressing into the ground, press strong out of the arm, working out of that shoulder blade as well. So you're getting some bonus serratus anterior strength through this movement and trying to keep that back as flat as possible the whole time. If the one arm plank is too challenging, rather go onto both arms and build up the strength to hold double arm plank first before you start to progress to this one arm plank. Maybe you had your knees bent on the straight leg raises, but it's fine. We're going to do a second set of bent leg raises if that's what you did earlier. Keeping those knees bent at 90 degrees. Again, you can have the hands next to the hips or behind the head, or feel even free to pop the arms out in line with the shoulders. But the same rule applies, keeping that lower back as flat as possible, stretching the reach out of the hips whilst maintaining a nice strong core. You want to imagine you're pulling your ribs in towards your hip bones as you do this exercise. Tap the heels down, nice and far away from the bum. Then sitting up nice and tall with your legs stretched out in front of you, hands in front of the hips between your bum and your feet. Trying to keep your spine as straight as possible. You're going to lift a leg straight up in the sky and bend the knee towards the chest. So if the straight leg raises are not happening for you, you can just do double leg knee tucks. It's all working into those hip flexors and keeping the core nice and strong as you keep the body upright in this upright seated posture. For the straight leg raise, you want to make sure you're flexing nice and hard into those quads as you lift the toes up to the sky. If this one does start to hurt the back, rather do the bent legs only, but if that one's hurting the back as well, rather focus on some of the other core strengthening exercises and maybe have a look at the hip flexor flexibility or strength independently before progressing with that exercise.